Welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind, you podcast. Here we're all about breaking free from the 40 to 50-year word ride and accelerating our journey towards financial freedom. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast track your path to financial independence. We serve as a hub for connecting with fellow members during our sessions, so you can share successes, ask questions, and keep the momentum going.
This is Niyi, Adewole, host of the Ekabo Home Financial Freedom Mastermind group. And I'm excited to be joining you here on the 1st of May. And it's an exciting time to be in real estate. There's a lot of different things that are happening as far as interest rates, as far as even home selling, home buying. And we're actually going to have one of the Ekabo Home team's very own, Nyra Sanders, joining us here shortly. We just released the May edition of the Ekabo Home newsletter, and she's going to be walking us through that, some of the highlights, and we're going to dive into what's going on with the market here shortly. Nyra, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Come on now, super good, and welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
So I was prepping it a little bit with those that are on the line, and every quarter, Nyra actually puts together a market update and a newsletter, and so we sent that out this morning to keep our network updated. But Nyra, I'm going to kick it to you for some of the highlights.
Yeah, so this month's newsletter is the spring edition. And, spring is like the prime time for real estate. So there's a lot of insightful and helpful information on the newsletter. But first, I go into talking about the market update. So one major thing that I did notice compared to the last newsletter that was published in February were definitely the interest rates. So before it was like a 6.6% interest rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage. And now we're looking at about 7.1%. So it's a little bit of an increase. And I also added 2 new sections to the newsletter. One is a featured listing where I just show a little bit of a spotlight on one of our new listings that we have, which is a beautiful home located in Atlanta. So, if you know anybody or even yourself are interested, definitely check that out before it's gone. And then also I added a Q&A part where I just answered a couple of frequently asked questions from our clients and other investors. And then I go into the neighborhood spotlight. And this month I chose Ponce City Market. It's a great area. They have shopping, restaurants, and then a beautiful rooftop area where there's carnival games. It's awesome. And it's located on the Beltline. And then I close off with a client success story.
Okay. And this is a pretty consistent outline that you do. I love the additions to the newsletter. If you don't mind, I just want to dig into a little bit of these and kind of understand why. The first being the interest rates, right? When we kicked off the year, the whole, narrative was, hey, it's going down. It's starting to get below 7. And as you mentioned during the last newsletter, it was 6.6. Why do you believe it's jumping up to that 7.1 out of nowhere?
I do believe because, they're raising the prices for the houses. That's definitely a factor that plays in. But I do believe, later on, hopefully later during the summer or towards the end of the year, there'll definitely be a little bit of a decrease like they said there was, but we'll have to see.
True. It is. And it all comes down to that timing piece that you just mentioned, right? The Fed, when they say, hey, we're going to cut 3 times next year, I think all the optimists out there, and I'm one of them, was thinking that's going to be in the first half of the year, right? Before you get to summer, before you start getting toward the election. And the fact that they have not cut interest rates now, it's pushing it out further and further. The economy reports that keep coming out are stronger than ever. It's making people start to question that piece. And the thing about interest rates, especially with real estate, is it's not exactly tied to the Fed rate, right? It's tied to the bonds and things of that nature. And those don't move unless the Fed rate moves. And the bonds try to price in what the Fed's going to do in the future, right? As well as mortgage rates. If they think it's going to lower, they're okay giving you a break right now because they want to get people in because it's not going to close for 30, 45 days, right? So they can offer you this interest rate. But if the Fed is starting to signal that, hey, we may not drop this interest rate for a while, they don't want to drop the interest rate. And you get higher interest rates, right? 7.1 on average. Lee, how you doing?
I am doing well. I'm out in the field, as you know, so we're at Grady right now, getting it done.
Come on now. And Lee, we know you're out in the field because the video is clear and it's not breaking up. We know exactly. You can't be at home right now.
Now if I get some internet issues, I can blame someone else.
Yeah, hey, I think the internet's gonna be fine over there. But we were diving into a little bit of the newsletter. So we talked about the interest rates. The next piece that you mentioned that I'm excited about too is that fully furnished rental that we have. Do you have any highlights on that one?
Yeah, so it is a short-term rental. And then also it is 4 bed, 3 bath, and it has spa-like showers. It's very spacious and it's fully furnished, which is a plus because, not a lot of homes come with the furniture and everything. So that's definitely a plus.
Agreed. And I know Levon's been successful in negotiating deals where you've gotten places fully furnished. What value do you put on being able to get an STR that's already furnished? Levon.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I mean, biggest expense you're saving is a lot of the upfront cost. I mean, we know specifically when it comes to Airbnb, one of the biggest upfront expenses that you're going to have to deal with is that furnishing piece. And it comes out to typically $5K a bedroom, right, is what we typically advise. So when it comes
Now I'm
down
putting it on his
to
computer.
that,
This has definitely got to be his computer.
hello? There we go. We're back. We're back.
We can hear you now.
The tale as old as time, y'all.
Okay. But to that point, to Levon's point,
Yep.
it's saving you money, right? If you're able to get that furniture included in the deal, now you're only bringing the down payment. So say you're using a vacation loan to buy a house and you're putting 10% down.
Right.
With this house that we have listed at 350 that's fully furnished, you could put down 35K and have a fully operational B&B, as opposed to you typically have to put down the 35K plus another 20K to furnish a 4 bedroom, right? So 5K per bedroom. You're saving a lot of money and you can just pocket that money. So that's kind of one of the benefits. And Nyra, do you mind just going through a couple of the Q&As, maybe like 2 of them?
Yeah. So these are 2 frequently asked questions since, we work with investors. One was the 15% rule for short-term rentals. And it's basically just determining, what is the 15% rule? And basically you want the generated revenue for the property to be at least 15% of the purchase price. So say the house is like 400,000, you want to make sure that you're making at least 60,000 annually off of the short-term rental in order for it to be considered a good deal. And then you have the 1% rule for long-term rentals. So it's kind of the same, but you want the median rent to be at least 1% of the purchase price. So if the house is 200,000, you want to make sure that you're making at least $2,000 off of the rent every month.
Leva, anything to add to that?
Hopefully my internet won't cut out, but yes, I think one of the things that a lot of people look at specifically and they don't take into fully account is that 15% rule is the starting point, right? That's the minimum. If you can get more, always shoot for more, right? But just don't be, and also another thing I see is don't try to will the 15% into happening. If something's at 14 and you can say, oh, well, I could maybe charge a little bit more if I did X, Y, don't overcomplicate it, right? Because a lot of times I've seen that situation happen where people will try to overcomplicate it and fail trying to make the numbers work instead of just taking the numbers as is and at their face value.
And piggybacking off of that, I think that's huge. Especially the one caveat I'll give is what you said is especially true for somebody who's new. If it's your first or second deal, you want to stick to some of those rules of thumb and just rule out the ones that aren't going to hit there. Because what you can do is you'll see a house like, man, that house looks amazing. I know people would want to stay here, but the numbers aren't there and you can get in trouble. Now, if you're experienced and you've done at least 2 of these, now I believe you can start to quote unquote make a market because you know what needs to go in that. And so the example I'll give, and I've talked about it on here before, but that fourplex in Snellville, right? Like the numbers from an AirDNA standpoint actually didn't make sense, right? When you look at it, I'm like, if I was going to give this to a client, I would not recommend they do that. But for me, having a couple other short-term rentals, understanding what we can put in this to make it, kind of pull people to it, I just knew it could work out. Plus, when I looked at the map, I saw, okay, we got a Chick-fil-A right here. So it's a great neighborhood. We have a couple of quintas and extended stays, and there's not many Airbnbs. The reason the numbers aren't here is because there's not any comps close by. So if we create a market, build something special, we may be able to pull people from the La Quintas or the extended stays. And it's worked out so far to the tune of about $3,000 a month per unit, right? And people are booking for 30 days at a time. We've had one person who's booked for a combined 120 days. Like they book for 60 days. And they kept doing like week extensions. And then unfortunately, somebody booked for a weekend. They're like, dang, they didn't get to it. So they left for 3 days, came back and did another extended stay until somebody else booked, right? And they're probably going to come back. And so it works. I just would not recommend that on your first one. Nyra, anything else from the newsletter that you want to highlight specifically? I know you talked about Ponce City a bit.
So the neighborhood spotlight. So like I said, we chose Ponce City Market. I think everybody should go check it out. It's a big attraction in Atlanta. You know, you can ride your scooters down the Beltline, go to the different restaurants, the shops. And like I mentioned, they also have that rooftop area. I've actually never been there. I need to go check it out. But they have like carnival games and like, you know, sitting areas. It's a lot to do up there too. But yeah, you guys should definitely check it out if you haven't been up there already.
Okay. Hey, Ponce City shout out. I have been up there and it is as cool as it looks. It just takes a while to get up there. And you do got to make reservations if you're trying to go to that restaurant up there. Just a word to the wise. But we're going to kick it to some questions in the chat here. And the first one's from Robbie. Is there a spreadsheet that you use to calculate expenses for a house hack to see if a deal makes sense? Liban, when you're doing that for clients, how do you typically calculate that for a house hack?
So you mean in the sense of expenses?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll always, your biggest expense is that mortgage. That's the thing that's eating you up. It's the kind of dragon in the cave, as people like to say, the thing that you're looking down at every month. Oh my God. So that is the main, most important expense, I would say, is that mortgage. Another one people don't really account for is you need to figure out in your house hack, are you paying the utilities or is the tenant paying the utilities? And you need to decide that kind of fundamentally early, because that can also, if you decide, hey, I'm the one paying the utilities, okay, you need to charge enough of a premium to where that tenant who's living up there isn't going to just run that water, run them lights, and now you're kind of bleeding because of it. So those two are the major ones, I would say. Another one, too, is potentially, of course, you got to account for your maintenance, repairs, CapEx, all of that stuff. I always run them traditionally in the same way like you would a normal rental. So all the expenses that you're going to have in a rental, you have in a house hack, essentially, because that's what you're doing.
Yep. Agreed. Go ahead, Nyra.
Oh, I was just going to say they also have on Bigger Pockets the property rental calculator where you can plug all those things in so you can get, you know, see if you're making a cash flow or not.
Agreed. And I see that Justin, thank you. He just dropped one of the spreadsheets that the Real Estate Robinsons use, which is Tony Robinson from the Bigger Pockets Rookie podcast. I'm more a fan of what Nyra said, though, using the Bigger Pockets property calculator. I'm not a huge spreadsheet person. I don't know if you noticed, but you've probably never seen me send out like a whole spreadsheet because I like keeping it simple. And that Bigger Pockets calculator makes it clean. It asks you for every single category and you can plug it in there. But when I'm looking at a house hack, the main thing that I'm looking at is, okay, how much am I paying out of pocket right now? And what am I trying to get to paying out of pocket? And so, for example, when I bought the current house that I live in, right, it was like, okay, I want to ideally stay under $2,500 out of pocket, right? So I don't care what the mortgage is. The mortgage could be $8,000, right? But if I can configure that house in some way in the house hack to where I'm bringing in X amount, right? And maybe a little bit overage to account for utilities, to Liban's point, then that deal makes sense, right? And I think a lot of people, especially when looking at house hacks, they overthink it a bit. What you're looking to do is save as much as you can of your personal money. How much are you paying right now? If you move into this house hack, are you going to save that amount of money? Okay, it makes sense. Okay. Anything else top of mind? Nyra,
I had a question. So you kind of mentioned it offhandedly when you're talking about the Snellville Quadplex being next to a Chick-fil-A, meaning, hey, there's some hope here. I always use like the Trader Joe's Whole Foods. I call it the Trader Joe's Whole Foods effect, where essentially if Trader Joe's or Whole Foods is in an area, that's a good area no matter what it looks like. You know, like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, yeah, those, because they're doing so much market research on their back end that, hey, I'm going to take a chance if they're taking a chance, you know? Are there any other kind of brick and mortar stores that you look at and saying, hey, this area might be a little rough on the edges, but it has X?
That's a good one. Go ahead.
Say Target, possibly.
Yeah, Target. Yeah. And if Target's leaving, that's because Target just left California. So, hey, that might be
Literally.
Yeah. So in San Francisco, they're closing down the Targets because it's not profitable. They're losing more from theft and petty crime than they are gaining. So they're just like, it's too expensive for us to be here. We're bouncing out. So in the
That's actually crazy.
Somebody moving in, what is if someone moving out? Same thing.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have. It was just nice to have to see the Chick-fil-A right there. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I've eaten there a couple times. Not gonna lie, when I was up there trying to set up a place, I'm like, all right, I'm going to Chick-fil-A. But I look more for, is it like close proximity to where people need to get stuff, if that makes any sense. So like that strip has a Chick-fil-A, there's a Home Depot less than a mile away. There's a bunch of different stores that you can go to, a bunch of different restaurants. And so when I'm looking at, this is an area that people would like to live because they don't have to go far for different things like that. Whereas, there's other properties you can buy from a rental standpoint where you have to drive 15 minutes to get to the nearest grocery store. And that's not ideal, right? It's going to lower the value that you can bring in. Robbie, how you doing?
I'm good. What's going on?
Come on now. Nothing much. You're coming on Friday, right?
Yeah, I was just about to say, looking forward to it.
Come on now. And you haven't seen the mansion yet.
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's going to be dope. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, and I missed the first little networking event that you guys had too. So I'm excited to meet everybody, catch up with you guys, and just talk shop a little bit.
Come on now. It's going to be good. I actually got a text a little earlier from Ricardo. He landed safely in the ATL. And we're actually going to go check out my new house hack tomorrow just to go so he can get eyes on it and push hard for some cool lending terms and kind of go from there. But yeah, it's going to be fun on Friday. Looking forward to you being there. And Justin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. You said you got a new house hack you're looking into?
Yeah, it's already under contract. It's just timing thing. It's still getting built out, right? And they're falling behind. So it's supposed to be done, I don't know, May, right? It's definitely not done right now. It's probably going to be done toward the end of June.
Gotcha. Good luck on that then, man. Working with those builders, it can get tricky sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but this is a cool one. I think you're going to like it. We'll definitely swing by at some point once it's closer to being finished. But Robbie, Justin, anything top of mind?
I did have a question. I was looking at your HomeBot email, and I wanted to know about. So I was just for my property, I got a little excited because the high appreciation. I clicked on that, and I hadn't really looked into it too deep. I'm actually looking at it right now, and it's saying that over the last 3 years, the home value has grown an average of 40.1%. And so I'm just curious. So, it says your home value, but so I'm just wondering, is that calculated like it's not just my home specifically. I'm assuming it's like the area or comps basically. Is that kind of how that works or?
Exactly. And so this is more accurate than a Zillow because Zillow is super broad. They don't have any region specific data like that, at least not as tight as this. HomeBot is an AI system that actually runs a CMA on the back end based on the numbers that we put in to try to get you close. It's still not 100% accurate. I'd say plus or minus. I need to look at it, right? But it's one of those where if you start seeing the things in your neighborhood trending up, it's going to alert you first. And then if you want a true CMA, you would just send, hey, I want a CMA. And it would alert our team. And we would actually pop into the FMLS, pull comps that recently sold in the last 3 to 6 months, and send you the accurate value of your house as close as we can get it to it.
Yeah, I've seen, there's no Chick-fil-A there yet, but I've definitely seen some construction sites and, I'll say a little bit more of a diverse group of people like around the neighborhood. So I'm optimistic that, and I don't know if you remember exactly where my place is, but you just got the Beltline there. So, I'm not going to keep my hopes up for the 40%. That would be crazy. But, I think that it's still, just an optimistic look at the appreciation for that area. So.
Yeah. And honestly, I was looking at I started following there's actually an Atlanta Beltline Instagram account that I started following like yesterday. And today they just started pouring concrete on another part of the west side, like to kind of get it connected. They've been actively working on the south side, and I know it's getting close to you. Yeah. Justin's probably looking out the window like, hey, man, let's get it going. But what's cool about this is the goal for the city, at least what the mayor says, is he wants to have 17 miles of this completed by the World Cup, which is in 2026. And so they are actively working to get this thing done. And I look at that date as the impetus for what could be a good time to refinance or sell if you can hang on until then, right? The Fed should be lowering interest rates at some point late this year, maybe after the election or early next year, right? And kind of stabilizing it there. And then when you see that influx of all these internationals coming to Atlanta, we saw what happened back in 96 and how that just accelerated it. I think it's going to be even more so right now. And so I'm excited for the refinance and selling opportunities that may come up.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that they're going to have to, I mean, for the Olympics, I'm sure they did, but for the World Cup, I'm assuming they're going to have to use, the whole city and different areas. It's not just going to be in, certain high wealth areas. It's going to have to be spread out. So they're going to want to make sure everything is, looking good, safe, and, things to do all around the city.
It's like super slow right now. I'm like super laggy. I feel like Levon on the camera.
Oh yeah.
My end.
Oh yeah. Desmond, AJ, how you doing?
What's going on, everybody?
Just trying to figure that out. I'm like, hey guys, you don't leave me hanging?
Oh man, what a stray.
Catching strays out here, man. Dang. On the same day that Kendrick Lamar replied, he's sending shots.
He looked at me when he said that. That was not a stray.
Is there the pool?
Look at my eyes. Hey, don't worry, guys. I'm getting better. Getting better.
Yeah. We just had to move him out of his house into a place with internet. But anyway, it's me and AJ. We're looking forward to seeing you both on Friday as well. I think it's going to be a cool event. Awesome networking. And you guys haven't seen the mansion in a long time. AJ, I don't think you've ever seen the mansion, actually. But Desmond, you haven't seen the mansion in a long time, and now the whole back's finished, and so it's going to be pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. Pool, hot tub. If anybody plays chess, we got this massive chess set outside, so we can get that going if you come early. All right. Now, I do have an affinity for the game, but yeah, there's a lot going on over there. It's pretty cool.
Y'all going swimming?
I can't. I'm hosting. I can't do that.
You don't know what happened last
But
time.
Desmond, AJ, what you guys got going on, man? No, I'm done. I still got my little brace here, so I'm good. But I was balling. Levon, you got to admit, I was making every shot, man. Yeah,
It just cost him his arm.
Yeah. But AJ, Desmond, what you guys got going on? Anything new?
Same old. I think I'm really looking forward to this event coming up. I think one of my main goals and priorities is obviously networking, but I want to have a goal in mind. And one of the things that is coming to mind just right off the bat is just kind of figuring out different financing options that I could use, right? There's so many different ways to fund a deal. And so I've been just doing all sorts of research. I've already used two different methods, this simple conventional, then I went FHA. So, I think I made a post on Bigger Pockets and just kind of having some small discussions about, subject to financing. And then also, it was interesting you guys started to talk about home values and things of that nature, because that's another way, I could tap into potentially my equity if I have any. But that's just it, is trying to figure out the most reliable source of your home's value. Because at this point, I've been sitting on my first home for a little over 2 years now. So could have some equity, maybe not. But again, it's tough to kind of, check out Zillow or maybe realtor.com. And especially when they have such differing values. That's one thing that I have been trying to research and figure out, what's the best source of information for maybe your home's value. So just all those sorts of thoughts in my mind, because my next step is to try to figure out, okay, there's so many different ways to, fund a deal. Which one what card am I going to play this time around?
Yeah. And along those lines, two things. One, before I forget, if you shoot me an email with the address of your previous home, I can set you up on HomeBot for that one so you can get a more accurate value. But two, I think going hand in hand with the financing is what type of strategy do you want to do, right? Because if you're like, hey, I want to do a fix and flip or a BRRRR deal, you need just short-term financing. You can go get a HELOC on your property. You can go get hard money to where they're paying for most of it. There's many ways to do it, but I think that strategy comes first. Like, hey, how do I want to acquire this next property? what do I want it to look like? And then you look at the financing.
Right. That's a good point. I think my plan so far has been to pretty much buy every year, whether that be a single family and then move into it, live in it for a year and then rinse and repeat, or more ideally duplex or multifamily up to 4 units, because then the more units, the merrier. Then you're sitting there looking like Desmond owning the whole block. So that's kind of been my plan, but I also like to be adaptable, fix and flip, that does sound nice, but it is a bit, it's scary. It involves a lot of different resources. So I think I've always kind of been like this slow and steady wins the race kind of guy, But again, always like to be adaptable, things like that. But that's a really good point. Just trying to nail down what exact strategy I would like to employ and then maybe dig into the financing. Whereas maybe I was trying to figure out the financing aspect first and maybe I don't have the strategy down. So that definitely makes sense.
And shifting over to Desmond, you said do you have anything going right now? And he may be frozen, actually.
Hey, Niyi, I was going to mention to you, in one of the other calls that we had recently, you were talking about strategies for your long-term tenants, the ones that have just the year-long lease and different things like that. So I actually reached out to mine, who's been there she's coming up on her 3rd year, and she pays on, pretty much on time every month and everything like that. And I offered her, I upped the rent. This house is in Baltimore, and I upped the rent, what was it, like $200 a month? Because she was actually getting a pretty good deal beforehand, but I upped it $200 a month, and I offered her the 25% discount on the first month, and she was like so happy about that. So got her locked in for another year, and should be good. So,
dude, that is awesome, and you know how much it costs to do a 25% is definitely worth it. For to up that rent, and now that house is worth more. It's more valuable to other people.
Right.
So it's interesting. Baltimore, I have a cousin out there that just moved out there. He's working at Johns Hopkins. He moved out there maybe a little over a year ago, and I still have yet to go visit. I need to get out to Baltimore. But everything that you hear in the news, media, things of that nature is that it's still a pretty rough city. In the areas that you're investing in, are these more up and coming? Is it more like, hey, it's street by street? What would you say about Baltimore as a city overall?
I would say it's a really good opportunity for investors because it's a city with one of the highest ratios of cost to rent versus cost of actually purchasing the home. So you can get a really good deal on a home compared to what you're actually, have to pay and what the tenants have to pay in rent. Just for example, I got this house for $175K. It's a 3-bedroom house. It's actually close to Johns Hopkins, the university, not the medical school, but it's in North Baltimore, and she's paying now $2,100 a month. So my mortgage is only just a little over $1,000, but it's definitely still a very rough city, and most cities are street to street. They're actually, I don't know if you guys have seen on Instagram, they're doing the city is putting a bunch of houses out there and selling them for $1. And I think what the plan is there is just really to get investors, push investors to actually buy the property. Because a lot of these houses, you're going to have to put in, 60, 70K to renovate and basically build a whole new house. But you can still get the property for $1. And then, down the line, even if you buy it for the $1 and hold it, till other people invest, and put the money into their properties, it's definitely going to increase the value of the city, long term, I think. So, and my dad lives in Baltimore. He's got a house right by the stadiums there for the Orioles and the Ravens, and his house has gone up in value a lot. And he has a couple neighbors that rent it out to medical students and stuff like that. So I think it's a good area to invest. But definitely be careful because it is a rough city for sure.
So these dollar homes, are they quite literally being sold they're being sold for that $1, but it's more so, hey, these houses aren't really worth anything. We might as well give it to you for the $1, but you take on all the responsibility of taxes, maintenance, repairs, etc. Okay.
Exactly. So the city it helps the city because these homes are vacant, so they're going to get that money on taxes. But then also, if they sell, a whole block for $1 each, eventually 3-4 years from now, that block is going to be nice if they sell it to investors, and people like that. So it really just raises the value of the city. And, you can't, I don't know exactly what the process is for getting the home, but you have to apply. You have to show that, you're going to invest in the house and everything like that, because there's just so many streets in the city that, are totally vacant, that there's just a lot of opportunity there. So you give these people who are investment minded this house, and then down the line, you see the growth. I think that's what they're getting the tax money. They're not getting anything for those houses right now because they're just totally vacant.
And do you pay?
I got a question.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish, Levon. I'll go afterwards. I was just going to say, so a two-part question. Number one, do you get a feeling that this is kind of like a too good to be true situation? Because homes for $1 is just kind of like, to me, that's like screams red flag. And then secondly, is it too late? You know what I'm saying? Because, this news has been out for a decent amount of time. And especially if you're in the investor game, you've been looking at this, right? So you have any insight or any opinion just on those two questions I asked?
Well, so my coworker, he has about, I don't know, he probably has about 40 or 50 properties in Baltimore. He got involved maybe like 10, 15 years ago. So he was buying a lot of properties for extremely cheap. And, he does mostly Section 8, but, these houses that they're selling for $1, like they have no roof. You have to put in like $100,000. You have to basically build a new house. You're buying the lot. You're buying that piece of land in that area for $1, and then the gamble that they're taking and that investors are taking is that if you buy up the block, then you can get the construction done at a discount if you have build the house in the same way. And then, if the block is nice, you can get your money back within a few years off renters and everything like that. So, it's not like you can just buy the house for $1 and there's a tenant ready to move in. Like, you got to have money to invest and, actually build the house. But there are loans for that too. And then I don't think it's too late because I know that they're selling them off like in tiers. And I've been talking to my coworker about it. He's been looking, but I think they're going to be selling them off like throughout the year. I don't think they're just putting all of them out there at one time. So,
and looking at the chat, go ahead.
Mike's hometown in Indiana, they have a little show that they did on HGTV where he bought back a lot of homes in his childhood neighborhood, but there was a ton of other investors who bought homes in that neighborhood too, and they revitalized that neighborhood in Indiana.
Yeah, and in the chat, Adewole actually is an investor out in that Baltimore area as well. And apparently you need to have $90K in your account to qualify for this. And you have to make the improvements within 3 years, which makes sense. So it's like, hey, we're giving this to you for $1, but you need to pay taxes, which is going to help the city. And then you need to do this improvement within a certain time period so people aren't just sitting on the land waiting for everybody else. That makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I love this move by the city of Baltimore. And I like when cities think about how to involve private investors in the improvement of the city. Because we've seen, some of the roads and like there's street work happening near my house that they started maybe 5 months ago. And it looks like they're not going to be done for another 5 months. And it's not even that hard. It's like, hey, we're trying to, correct this little flow of the street. And the reason being is because people aren't motivated, right? There's not their money. So people are coming in on Monday, they're leaving on Friday early. And it's like, hey, man, we'll just get as far as we get in a couple hours. Whereas when private investment money comes in, when you look at this group and we're talking about getting an Airbnb up and running, dude, it's like, hey, man, we need to get this going like this month, like 2 weeks, right? Let's get this thing going because we have our dollars invested. And so I love when cities come up with creative ways like this to involve private investors who can get it done better and quicker.
So really, these are 90K homes.
Yeah.
You got to read the fine print.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, if you can get a $90,000 home, that, you know what I mean? Like, that's still,
right.
It's a good, it's a good value.
You can't get a $90,000 home in Atlanta.
Yeah. Don't forget about that dollar though.
Right. Yeah. 90,001.
Yeah. And honestly, the numbers that you spoke about at a high level, Robbie, are incredible. To buy for $175 and have the rent at $2,100, crazy.
Yeah.
That's well over the 1% rule for a single family. I really like those numbers.
Yeah, and I actually, so after the first year, I bought the house with a bridge loan, and then I did a little bit of work, on the house, but got the tenant in for 1,900 at first, and then I did a refi out of the bridge loan, and I got like a 6% loan on that, and the appraiser valued it at 225. So all that equity like came right back to me, and they're still getting a deal on the rent because rent has gone up like crazy in Baltimore. It's been, it's worked out really well. Plus it's with a long-term, tenant, it's like very little work when compared to the Airbnb, check in on rent if they're a couple days late, like fix something up if it needs that, but that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I know, AJ, you were talking. Go ahead, Niyi. I know, AJ, you were talking about structuring deals and trying to figure out your next deal. I just wanted to ask a question to the group. I know a lot of these other, masterminds and things that people are in, they kind of partner on deals. Have you guys ever thought about that in one of these mastermind groups, like coming together, trying to figure out, we're all in this space, like, potentially at some point coming together, trying to figure out how we could get in on something and, put a deal together?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely crossed my mind. I think it's just obviously, that's a very delicate situation, obviously, marrying your partner in a sense. And, just make sure you do your due diligence and everything. I think everybody's in this group, obviously, come weekly and have a really solid real estate foundation and things of that nature. So, yeah, with that being said, I mean, I'm always open to different and creative deals. So long as, we're both in agreement and we understand, the X's and O's are related to football, but the X's and O's and how the game plan and things like that. So, of course.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm kind of along the same lines of AJ. Like, I like y'all and I want to keep it like that. So I think to go into a partnership is a delicate situation. I think that's a good way to put it. And I think it could work for sure. And, with the right planning and people involved and strategy, it could work. But I think it's important to like have those tough conversations up front. And, in this group, we're, having good, lighthearted conversations. And it's nice to, come here and, vent or talk about whatever. But, I think when it comes to a partnership, it's a lot more different of a relationship. So, having that switch in the relationship, I think can be tough sometimes. So it can be delicate. Not saying it can't work, but yeah.
And I would agree with both of those sentiments. I think it's absolutely something that should be explored, but explored delicately. We'll use the same word. And I've actually done some deals with individuals that have been through here that we've interviewed, right? And it's been incredible, right? One is my realtor partner down in Louisville. That being said, we built a relationship over 7 years, right? 7 years, 30 deals purchased, 30 deals sold. I know her temperament in stressful situations. She knows how I react when when a deal just fell through and things of that nature, right? And so we knew kind of what we were getting into. And even then, we still went to lawyers and things of that nature to put it all together and put it on paper. That's the key. As long as you have that transparency, you're going to be fine. Another individual I did a deal with throughout this group was one that was a subject to deal. It was an individual that was joining early on. We did a subject to deal actually earlier this year. And that was a win-win for both of us, right? Because we had the conversations up front about goals, things of that nature, and what we were both looking to do. And so it's absolutely doable. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to start having more in-person events as well, is so you can actually see if you vibe with that person in person. It's great to, hop on a Zoom call and have a conversation, but you definitely, if you're going to get into a partnership, it is like a relationship. You do need to have those conversations up front because you are essentially married to that person. And I think we talked about it, a couple of weeks ago, but one of the things that I tend to do with different partnerships like that is exactly what the real estate Robinsons do, right? They put a time limit on the partnership just to make sure that, if something's going left, at least there's a set time limit. So for example, on the partnership I have in Louisville, we put a time limit of 5 years. If at the end of 5 years, which would be the end of 2028, it's not going well, or one of us is like, hey, I need to get out for this, that, and the other reason, the other partner has the opportunity to buy that person out at market value, right, for their share. Or if both parties say, hey, we want to continue forward, then we extend it another X amount of years, right? But there's a set time period. It's been going amazing. I think we're going to keep extending. but at least we know if it goes left, there's a time period.
And I actually like what you said. I think that was a good point. Something that leads me to my next question. Who are you guys following in the space? Like, who are some of your favorite people to like kind of get some information from? I know we've mentioned the Real Estate Robinson twice so far on this call. I follow Rob Bill and David Green. Who else are you guys kind of looking to get information from?
Following On the Market, Bigger Pockets podcast. It's not like an Instagram, but the podcast, I follow them. They're really good.
I'm on David Green, big David Green guy, and Rob Abasalo. More so like David Green's discussion. He just kind of seems more mature in how he's progressed in his real estate career for sure. It's pretty evident. There's another guy. It's a black guy, has a beard. I think he's kind of like, I think he might be from Hawaii or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. I need to figure out his name. But he's a part of the Bigger Pockets team, and he's really solid. I like listening.
You might be talking about Tony Robinson.
I don't think he has. No. He has a full head of hair. He's not bald. No.
Oh, Henry?
Yes, Henry. There it is. Henry Washington. So he's
He from Arkansas, man. But no. That's good. That's a good one.
I don't know where I got. I don't know where I got Hawaii from, but from Arkansas. But he's a solid guy. I love listening to him. So I would say those are my two top guys. And then, just reading like various business mindset books just to prime myself, and then get more specific to the real estate side of things. I just, podcasts, Bigger Pockets, things like. Sound like you're looking for a partner, Justin.
So what now?
Sound like you're looking for a partner, Justin.
Hey, man, I'm always looking to partner on deals or, kind of expand my horizons as we go through this thing, man. I'm a firm believer in if you want to go far, you got to go together. If you want to go fast, you got to go alone. So, I'm trying to go far in this game. So as much insight I can get from other people and provide insight and knowledge, we all great at what we do. I feel like I have some strong skill sets. So at some point I am going to be looking to expand and partner up and get some more deals under the table.
100% agree with Justin and his skill set. He actually just saved me $600 a month last week, so I appreciate you, Justin. But Robbie, Nyra, Levon, what you guys got for things that you listen to that kind of keep you or follow that kind of keep you on track?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of the things that the guys just said. To be honest, I don't do Instagram too much just because, I don't know if it's my feed or whatever, but it's just too toxic for me. It's just too many liars, too much toxic stuff going on there. So for me, it's just I stay off of it. I do listen to the podcast and, try
to watch the likes, man.
Huh?
You got to watch the likes and the saves, man. It's you.
Yeah, I'm too far gone. So I'm off, I messed it up, whatever. So I'm done. But, I hear you. I feel like there's a lot of the people. One thing about some of the people on Instagram that I've noticed when it comes to real estate, though, I just feel like so many people are on there trying to act like it's easy or it's quick. And to me, that's just a turn off because we all know that's not what it is. I was big on Grant Cardone for a while also. But, I just kind of I don't know. I don't really listen to him too much anymore.
I can relate to that because I swear every time I get an ad, hey, do you want to know how I'm making $30 million from my bedroom? Mm-hmm. And all I got to do is swipe on my phone. And all I do is I do it for 30 minutes. And I'm like, all right, you're a charlatan.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I mean, books, there's a ton of stuff I listen to. Oddly enough, I feel like you can get motivation from a lot of different sources, like the playoffs. I'm watching the NBA playoffs man, going after it. I got to go after it too, So it's all kind of stuff for me personally. I mean, I think I look for it everywhere in my daily life, at least on ways to keep going. Because one of the things that is difficult is that you got to keep on going. So yeah, I see Bron. I just saw Bron do it 20 some years, So yeah.
I think I get a lot of mine from social media, honestly. It's all over my For You page on TikTok and Instagram. So I get a lot of that information from there. And then also I've been looking into more of the Bigger Pockets, the blogs and everything. And also the books that Niyi has given us have been very helpful. And then my dad, he used to flip a lot of homes. So I've been getting a lot of information from him. That has been really helpful.
And this is why Nyra is a flipping rock star, right? And so for me, it's a myriad of all those things. A lot of the podcasts, the bigger pockets, the whole gambit, I listen to a lot of those. I like listening to entrepreneur podcasts too, because all of us are entrepreneurs, man. When you step into this real estate game and you're trying to build a business, especially when you're dipping between long-term rentals, short-term rentals, like you got to think like an entrepreneur and like a business owner. And so how I built this has been amazing, just for inspiration. That's one with Guy Raz. He also has this other one called Lessons from the Top or Wisdom from the Top, where he meets with like CEOs to ask them about life lessons, things of that nature. Books is huge. I love listening to books, reading books. And so at any given time, I'm probably, like right now I have Rocket Fuel, which I finished a little while ago, and now I'm trying to implement. I got a couple of books, by the bedside, so I try to read, before going to bed, things of that nature. But yeah, man, anytime I'm working out or taking a long trip, I'm usually listening to a podcast or a book. Back in the day, it used to be all music. And it's crazy how, after a couple of years of corporate, it's like, dude, I either drive in silence or listen to a book or a podcast. So I don't listen to music as much anymore.
I will say also one book that I do Audible usually, just walking my dog and everything like that. So one book that I listened to recently that I thought was really good was The 12-Week Year. I don't know if anyone's read that or listened to it, but I would definitely recommend it. It's basically a way to be more efficient and get more things done, throughout your year. If you break your goals down into shorter time frames. And, for anyone that's been in the corporate world, like basically treat every 3 or 4 months like it's Q4. If you guys did sales, like I've been sales in corporate world. So, Q4 is usually when people make the most money. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But, one of them is just people are really going hard focusing on certain things. So it just teaches you how to like break it down and, basically focus on like 1 or 2 things for 3 or 4 months. And then, after that, kind of just switch on to another thing or, go at what you were trying to do before again, or, whatever it is. But it's a short listen, quick listen, short read. So I would recommend that if anyone's looking for a book.
Done. And in the chat from AJ, we also have The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. So I'm adding that one to my list. And The 12-Week Year is one I read a while ago. I just need to reread it because I've lost certain pieces. So I like rereading books too. But guys, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, all y'all in the Facebook group, right? On the Ekabo Home Facebook group or the Mastermind Facebook group, whichever you want to call it.
Oh no,
it's like start just dropping like books and stuff in there and like podcasts. Because it's easy to talk about it here and then you kind of forget. But I think just kind of keeping up with what we're listening to and what we're reading is very beneficial for me at least. So if you guys don't mind sharing what y'all got, or if you got my number, if you're reading something good, just shoot it to me, man. I'll definitely add it to my list.
Done. And Justin's doing it better than me and Leba, man. Please join the Facebook group if you have not already, and throw that out there. And I got to do a better job. Yeah, you hold it out of me. I'm just not serious about this. Yeah. Well, it's on me. I definitely need to do a better job of actually posting the links and things that be in there. But we're going to pick it up here because Justin just inspired me, and we'll make that happen. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys here on Friday. It's going to be good to get to see you guys in person, hang out for a bit, and come hungry, because we literally have partnered with one of Justin's allies to bring in some Jamaican-inspired food. So it's going to be amazing. So I will catch you guys on Friday. Go ahead.
Is it too late to buy my ticket? I found out my trip got moved 2 days, so I'm going to be here Friday.
Come on now. Hey, listen, it's not too late, Levon. You can still come. All right. Now we're going to put you to work, but you can still come.
Hey, if I got to be a waiter again, I'll do it. I'll go back to my roots.
Hey, come on now. Hey, but everybody, I hope that you have an awesome Wednesday, and we will catch you a little bit later.
Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast track your